Hi, I'm here today with Dr. Ronna Fisher, who is president of the Hearing Health Center here in Chicagoland. Ronna, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
So tell me, how did you get into this business? Give me a sense for what it is, and then we'll obviously Hearing Health Center.
Hearing Health Center is involved with hearing and balance disorders. So when you can't hear, you come see me. And I started the business 1984 because I grew up with a dad that had difficulty hearing. And he started losing his hearing in his 30s. And by the time I was a teenager, his hearing not only affected him, it affected our whole family and everyone he came in contact with. My parents would fight because he would misunderstand. No one wanted to be in the same room with him because the TV was so loud, so he was relegated to watching TV by himself. They stopped going out. Every time they went out, it was a chance for humiliation and embarrassment. The thing I remember most about living in a house with him was, forget it, never mind, it's not important. And he missed so much of my life, and it didn't have to be that way.
So you went into this business to ensure that other folks don't have to go through that same thing?
I've been doing that ever since. My dad died at 53, so I never had the chance to help him, and I've been making up for it from that day on.
Now, I know the stereotype is a big clunky hearing aid that somebody's got strapped, like we see people walking around today, you know, with the Bluetooth. But that's not what you're about, right?
That's not what I'm about. One of the trends is invisibility. So there are totally invisible hearing aids. Hearing loss runs in my family. I wear them. So, and I don't think you see anything strapped to me.
Right.
Want me to show you? Can I?
Sure.
So there it is.
Okay.
And I've been with you for the last several hours and you didn't know.
Right.
You would have if I weren't wearing them.
Now, how does today's technology differ from, you know, the old just amplification? Because that's not all it is today, right?
That's not all it is. It's all about the processing, and they try to simulate how the brain works. So the hearing aids are so sophisticated and so smart that I can manipulate them any way I want, depending on you, your lifestyle, your preferences. I wish it were a science. It's not. It's a combination of being an art and a science.
Well, that's what medicine is. If you really get down to it, there's the science part, but there's the art, and the practitioner is so important.
You're absolutely right. How well you hear is totally dependent on the expertise and skill of the person you see.
And it's not just old people. We don't, I mean, if I understand you right, we're losing our hearing younger and younger.
Average patient age today is 58 years old. Used to be when I first started in their late 70s.
Wow.
So the world is getting noisier. Hearing loss is occurring younger and younger. And there's more people in the workforce with hearing loss now than ever before.
Now, what do you think causes that?
Noise. Number one cause of hearing loss is noise. We live in a very noisy world that our ears weren't built for. There is no hearing loss in
Mumbai.
Yes, because the loudest sound they hear is thunder.
Now, do you think that it's just going to accelerate, where we now are a society with a Bluetooth and the ear pods in our ears? Is that just going to accelerate, do you think, the
Absolutely.
hearing loss?
And I just read a report that it's much more prevalent than they previously thought. They used to say it's 1 out of every 10 people. Now it's 1 out of every 7 people have hearing loss. And there's more teenagers with hearing loss from the music, the iPods, and listening so loud and for so long than there are 40-year-olds with hearing loss.
Now, what's the likelihood that I would even recognize that I need to come to have my hearing checked, other than my wife having to repeat things over and over and over again? How do I recognize the signs?
Well, number one sign is tinnitus, ringing in your ears. So everybody has it sometimes, but it's the number one sign that something is wrong. And you will notice that you might have ringing in your ears long before you'll notice that you have difficulty hearing. You can lose up to a third of your hearing without realizing it, but usually other people will tell you. You'll have more difficulty hearing when it's noisy, in restaurants, feeling like you're not getting the punchline of the joke, you're not hearing a whisper.
So it is something that we do need to check, even as we get old. Do you recommend that folks really have a prophylactic checkup where they're taking the initiative?
Absolutely, because only 8% of doctors screen for hearing loss. They don't even ask you about it, because most people with difficulty hearing don't have trouble one-on-one. It's not until they're in with a bunch of people or their back is turned, they're in another room. So doctors don't screen for it. Most people haven't had their hearing tested since third grade.
Now, how did you get into this business? Now, in addition to just being a practitioner, you actually have multiple clinics and multiple sites, right? So you're a true business owner.
I am a business owner. Never particularly wanted to be, but when I moved to Chicago 3 years after I moved here, the place I worked for closed, so I opened up my own, and it grew from there.
Where do you see your business? Is it growing? Do you want to expand even more?
Do I want to expand even more? I'm not sure about that. I'm busy enough. We're so busy, and it's growing because there's more people with hearing loss, and more people are recognizing that it's just their hearing isn't just in isolation, that it affects every part of their body, physically, mentally, cognitively, their job performance, their relationships. So people are more aware of the importance of their hearing, and I'm making sure that they are.
Is that what keeps you going?
Absolutely, it's what keeps me going.
Cool, I appreciate that. I think that it's an area that we don't know what we're missing until we're able to get it checked out. And so, Ron, I appreciate your being here today with us. Dr. Ronna Fisher, President of Hearing Health Center throughout Chicagoland. Thank you, Ronna, for being here today on CEO IntroNet TV, Chicagoland.